But hey, I'm back. Welcome back. I'm about to do something that you do not see every day. I'm gonna actually over-deliver on a clickbait title. Now, I know I said this one simple trick will 10x the quality of your music or make your music sound 10 times better, but I'm actually gonna give you 3 different tricks. They're not really tricks, they're more like methods. It's not like they're cheap or I'm selling snake oil. These are 3 amazing things that are gonna make your music sound so much better. These absolutely changed my life. They allowed me to get over 100 million streams on Spotify, tour the world, probably at like over 200 million streams now. I haven't counted for a while. It's not really important. The point is that these things really work. I've taught these things to countless students over the years, and I think this video is really gonna help you whether you're just starting out or you've been producing for a while and you need to pick me up. So please just give me the chance for the next few minutes to actually over-deliver on my promise. The way I'm gonna teach you these things is we are gonna make a brand new song from scratch. I'm gonna talk through everything step by step, and that way you can follow along too. Let's go ahead and get started and open up Ableton.
Hell yeah, great intro, Ethan.
Okay, all right, I got my giant headphones on,
And I'm ready to produce.
First thing we want to do is save our song. I'm going to hit File, Save Live Set As. We're going to save it into a folder called Sessions. That way everything's in the same folder, all the songs that we're working on. And that Sessions folder, for me personally, is in a Dropbox folder. That way everything I'm working on gets uploaded to the cloud. I don't have to worry about losing anything. It's a great method. When you're done saving, click File, Collect All and Save. Make sure all these are yellow and hit OK. Alrighty, now we are ready to get started. So to change the tempo, we can just click up here to the left on the metronome and type in whatever we want. I think 105 is good. And then we can click these dots and press spacebar and actually hear the tempo. Now, I can't get that new Lola Young song out of my head. Messy, it is so catchy. And also a fairly new artist, Somber, is making some great music and crushing it on Spotify. So we're gonna try to make something kind of in the vein of Lola and Somber and maybe Benny, maybe some Rex Orange County. I don't know, we'll just feel it out. You know what? I'm gonna go get a root beer. I'll be right back. Actually, we're going for grape soda. Olipop version.
Gotta keep those calories down.
The first of my 3 little secret tricks is to use a formula. Don't leave yet. Just stick with me for a second. Okay, if you're learning how to cook, you're gonna follow a recipe. You're not just gonna bake bread like willy-nilly, throwing in flour and eggs and just guessing. Certain recipes and certain formulas have been tried and tested over the years, and they work really well. There's an expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the formula that we're gonna use today is what I like to call the 5-element formula. And in modern music, most songs use these 5 elements, and I'm talking like 99% of the songs on the Spotify Top 50 or on the Billboard Top 100. This is like the golden standard. This is the formula. So we're gonna follow this formula, and it goes drums, bass, mids, vocals, and effects. That's it. Super simple. And mids is like guitars and keys and that sort of thing. So first things first, I wanna make some drums. Now Ableton can be kind of tough for drums. If you go here to the left where it says drums, under drum hits, there's different samples here. Like we can go to kick, there's all these different kick sounds. But Ableton doesn't really have good indie or alternative drums. Definitely doesn't have good rock drums. And so what I did was I made my own drums. I bought a bunch of expensive mics and all that stuff, spent forever recording them and developing them. And I created something called drag and drop drums, which looks like this. It's called DAD drums. So in order to get DAD drums into Ableton, you press Command-Shift-T, you make a brand new MIDI track, you drag DAD drums onto that track, and then you make a brand new MIDI clip by highlighting a section, pressing Command-Shift-M, and then you can drag this up here so we can see all the different elements, all the different drum sounds. We can just click this headphone icon. And now we have marvelous sounding drums. I'm so stoked on the way these turned out, guys. So first things first, let's get a pattern going. Okay, I'm gonna turn this track up. This is what the drums sound like. Let me turn the click off. Okay, we're off to a great start already. I love these drums because you literally just drag them in and drop and then program a pattern and they already sound awesome. Now, if you're struggling for a pattern, I would just turn the click on. I would put a kick on the 1 and 3, which means when you count it out like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're putting a kick on the 1s and the 3s. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The kick is, this is the kick. Okay, does that make sense? The snare is on the 2s and 4s. Kicks are on the 1 and 3. Snares on 2s and 4s. So it's kick, snare, just like this. Okay? And then I just kind of mix it up a little bit by adding another kick in right here and right here. And then I just added some hi-hats. Part of the reason I love DAD drums is because I have multiple samples for things like hi-hats and the snare, so that if one hi-hat is hitting over and over, It's actually a different sample that's playing each time. And that way it doesn't sound like a sample, it sounds like a real drummer. Okay, next thing I love about these drums is we have these cool effects right here, like a compressor. And we have this tape sound, which is kind of like vintage. We have through the wall. And there's just cool, all kinds of cool effects. Okay, I love the sound of that. So we have drums. Great. Now what? Well, if you remember our formula, it's drums, bass, mids, vocals, and effects. I like doing things in that order, but sometimes it's helpful to do mids after drums because that way we can actually start writing a chord progression and start building out an actual song and not just a beat or a loop. So I'm going to do what the Lola Young song does, and I'm going to add some guitar. Now, if you don't have guitar, totally chill. We have other options too. I'm going to show you what you can do if you don't have guitar first. Command-Shift-T makes a new MIDI track. We can just highlight a section here, press Command-Shift-M. That's going to make a new MIDI clip on that track. And then we have the piano roll down here. If your piano roll is too big, just click to the left of it and drag left or right to make it bigger or smaller. And we can adjust everything so it's easy to see. Now, if we draw in notes here, right, just random notes, we press spacebar, we can still hear the drums, but it's actually not playing anything in our MIDI channel. That's because there's no instrument on this MIDI channel. MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface, and I just think of it as like a piano or a synthesizer on your computer, and we use the piano roll here to tell it which notes to play. Let's go to Instrument Rack. Let's go to Piano and Keys, see what we can find. Let's try E-Piano Basic, and we just drag it right onto this MIDI track here. Okay, so now we actually have some sound here. Check this out. Weird notes, we would never use those notes, but the point is that now it makes sound. So we can draw in chords, or if we're feeling lazy or we don't know music theory, in my course Complete Producer Pro and in my course EDM Producer Pro, I have some MIDI chord packs. Those are super simple. You can just drag and drop some chords in. You can either pick chords here. You know, let's do some sevenths. Let's do a minor 2 and just type in no for this. A 4, a 1 chord, and a 5 chord. So that's one way to drag in chords. This is what it sounds like with the drums. I also have these pre-made progressions, which is really helpful for just getting something quickly. But really, the best thing you can do for yourself is to learn music theory. Now, I know music theory can sound really overwhelming, but I've made it as simple as possible. I've made a 20-minute video with all the theory that you need to make great sounding music. You could check that out right up here if you're feeling like you need to brush up on your theory. But for me, I'm going to take these chords that I have, I'm going to highlight all of them and press Command J. That's going to make one MIDI clip with all these chords on it. Okay, so I finessed the chords a little bit. Nice. I like the way that those chords sound. Okay, so as we can see on the master channel here in Ableton, down to the lower right, we're getting some red. Now, red isn't necessarily bad, but if it's causing some audible clipping and distortion, that's when it's a problem. And right now it is, so that's a problem. So this is gonna bring us to my second secret little tip, trick, whatever you wanna call it. Really what they are, they're 3 breakthroughs. These are 3 breakthroughs I had in my journey as a producer. So the first one is the 5-element formula. We're gonna keep working on that. The second one is all about mastering. My friend Tom, he's an absolute legend. He just uses Pro L on the master channel, makes sure it's loud enough and calls it a day, says it's all about the mix. Now, I've been standing by this for years. For me, this completely changed the loudness of my mixes and the clarity of my mixes. Now, this was a hill that I was willing to die on. I didn't need any more convincing. I heard it for myself. But then my friend told me that Chris Geringer, who's one of the most prolific and well-known mastering engineers in the whole world, does the same thing. He'll just throw a limiter on the master, sometimes tweak and add a little bit of EQ, and then just call it a day. Now in Ableton, there's a few ways you can do this. You can literally just put a saturator and turn on soft clip. And you can see here now it's not red anymore. With it off, you can see that it's red. But with this, it's stopping it from going above 0 dB. And the idea is that if you can keep it from going above 0 dB, then it'll maintain some of the quality, but the more that it gets pushed past that, the more it kind of degrades, clips, and distorts and just gets destroyed. So that's why we do this. I cover some mastering methods in some other videos. I cover my mastering technique with Ableton plugins. And you know what? I'll actually link one of those videos right now so you can check it out here if you want to. But what I've been doing for years, my favorite plugin for this is Pro L2. This is what my friend Tom uses. He's worked with all kinds of people. This is also one of the limiters that Chris Geringer uses. Now he basically just drags it on, keeps everything the same except this is all the way to 0, turns over sampling to 8, and that's what he does. What I like to do is I open up the presets, and if you go to V1 presets here, under clipping, there's almost clipping, and that's my favorite one. Then I double click on look ahead here, I change it to 0.18, and I call it a day. The reason why this is my favorite way to work is because with a limiter on the master channel, basically if our mix is good to go and our song is loud enough, then we can export it and send it out to Spotify, use DistroKid, that's my favorite distribution service, and just literally release it. You don't have to do any extra steps. It's super simple. And this way too, if you're working on the master and there's something in the mix that you need to change, you're not looking through all these different projects. It's just all in one place. Mwah, chef's kiss, it's the best. This has made my music sound at least 10 times better in my opinion. So let's keep going with a 5-element formula. Let's go ahead and add some guitar. I'm gonna play some guitar because I love playing music. I'm an instrumentalist. Is that what it's called? I'm a musician. I play music, I don't just program it. But if you just program it or you're learning, no worries at all. Watch my video on music theory and draw on some chords. Let's go ahead and, whoa, this thing's in a crazy tuning. Let me tune this. Right, let's get pick going. Guys, I know you look at this mic and you look at this cool studio and all this stuff. This is something I've built over the years. You don't need a fancy setup to get a fancy sound, okay? Okay, what I'm gonna do is copy this out a few times, and I'm just highlighting a section and pressing Command D to duplicate it. I'm gonna mute these chords and just get these drums going and just play the progression to these drums, and I'll turn the click on. I'm gonna play it 2 times and pan 1 left and pan 1 right. Also, I'm pointing the mic at the 12th fret of the guitar because my friend Danny said to do it, and it sounds great. Sweet. Oof. Bruh. It already sounds so good. Now that Lola song has also an electric guitar, so I'm gonna grab an electric. Whoops, accidentally hit the banjo. I'm gonna record something very similar, just as another layer. Remember, no guitar, no problem. Let me just tune. Second one was Money. Really, really lovely. It's a very subtle layer. I think also I want to do, while I have the guitar here, just some kind of little open thing like, where's my capo? That's all the way back there. Hang on. This is gonna sound sick. Stick with me. I'm gonna highlight a section and press Command L to loop it and try some stuff out. Okay, wow. Sometimes production is just like this. You spend 10 minutes on one little tiny part, but it's gonna make the song so much better. And if you want to get your guitars to sound absolutely perfect, you can quantize them. It's kind of a little cheating method, but it sounds great. To do that in Ableton, you're just gonna right click on this triangle. This is right when our guitar part starts. Click Set 111 here, and then we can type Command A to select everything. Right click, quantize settings, and these I believe are 16ths. No, they're 8ths. So you can do 8ths or 16ths. Just try out each and see which one sounds better. Nice, that's one half. The other half, let's do the same thing. There we go. Now they're perfectly locked on the grid, and we have our acoustic guitars up here. I'm just gonna click on one, hold Shift click on the other, and press Command G to group our acoustics. And we have our electric. And nice. Now this guitar sounds like a little bit out of tune. It's kind of challenging because the action isn't perfect on it. This just sounds so much happier than that Lola song, but we can do a lot with the songwriting. Let's go ahead and keep following our formula and let's add some bass. Now there's a couple ways you can add bass. You can make a new MIDI track, Command Shift T, make a new MIDI clip, Command Shift M, after highlighting a section, And we can go to instruments. We can go to bass. See what we got here in Ableton. Could try something like basic mellow bass here. Wow, that sounds insane. That is not mellow at all. That's like the complete opposite of mellow. Now, if we want to use our computer keyboard as a MIDI keyboard, we could just click this little keyboard icon up here to the right in Ableton, and then make sure we arm our track by pressing the record icon right here. And now we go. Want to bring the filter down, bring this top tone down, bring this vibrato down, and we could draw in some bass notes. I'm just pressing Command D to duplicate these, and then using the arrow keys to move them to the right notes. Nice. That actually totally works. I was going to use a real bass, and I probably still will. Now, I want some sort of like, I don't know, something big and bright, something to really fill it up. Just trying to figure out what to do for that. A lot of music production is like putting a puzzle together. And the reason why we do the 5-element formula is because it's almost like using a template of seeing what the puzzle should look like when it's finished. And that way we can figure out the little gaps in between and make sure everything's filled up. We have our drums, bass, mids, vocals, and effects. And then we'll have a finished sounding song. That's the whole idea. That's why we're doing this. So let me just try to find something that will open up and make the chorus sound bigger, I guess. Okay, so in Instrument Rack under Ambient and Evolving, actually let's try Sunrise Waves. And to switch out a sound, you could just click this little circle with the arrows in it, double click on another sound, and it will hot swap it. I want the attack to happen faster. Nice, bring this filter up. Wow. Cool, just gonna make a brand new MIDI clip here by highlighting a section, Command-Shift-M. You already know what it is. You're following along. You get it. And I'm just going to add the root note of the whole song, which is in the key of G. Now, these notes should just kind of lift it, make it sound prettier. So we have our verse section, which will be like this without all that other stuff. Probably with the bass. Or you know what, real quick, I'm just going to add a real bass. I'm getting old. Real bass for the verses, synth bass for the choruses. Make it feel bigger. I just played this yesterday, so let's make sure that it's still in tune. I'm just going to loop this section by pressing Command L. And let's go ahead and hit record. I'm going to go ahead and EQ this bass sound by dragging on EQ8 and boosting the lows. Yeah, now it's sounding like a real bass. I'm going to press Command A and select everything and move it over. And then what I'm going to do is just start structuring the song out. So I can highlight a whole section. I can press Command C to copy it and then press Command V to paste it. Very, very intuitive. So now we have our verses. And our choruses. Now here's the point where I'm going to talk about the third breakthrough. The third breakthrough is to use a reference. Now, think about this. There's so many amazing songs out there that have been worked on by all the best people in the industry. The best writers wrote it, the best producers produced it, the best mixing engineers mixed it, and the best mastering engineers mastered it, okay? You have the best of the best out there for you to listen to, and what you can do is use a reference and hold your song up against that. I use this all the time for mixing, but also for production, and this is the best way to figure out what is my song missing? Why doesn't my song sound full? Why doesn't it sound good enough? Listen to a reference that you know has stood the test of time. Maybe the song has performed really, really well. It's been wildly popular, whatever it is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen through that Lola Young song. This song absolutely slaps. The production's great. The writing is amazing. And I'm going to listen to some other stuff too. Some of my other references like Somber, probably even some like Mac DeMarco and stuff. And I'm going to go through references, get ideas for production. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to write a song. So I'm going to write a verse, maybe a pre-chorus and a chorus, see what I can come up with. And if you've never written a song before and you're kind of getting stuck at this part, you're like, I don't know how to write a song. I got you covered. I have a video for that. It's right up here. It covers my songwriting method, which utilizes Ableton. And it's great because not only do you capture all your ideas so you don't miss anything, you never forget a melody or a lyric, but I also teach you how to whittle down all of your ideas into the very best ones and literally write the best song that you're capable of writing. So I'm going to go ahead and use that method on this song right now. I'm going to listen to some references and I'm going to put it all together. And then we're going to get to listen to a more finished product. And I think you guys are really going to love it. Also, I've been recording for 55 minutes at this point, and that's including the intro and everything. So it doesn't take long to do this. Okay, I'm going to write a little something and I'll be right back. Also, real quick, if you are enjoying this video, you feel like you might be learning something, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. And that way you help support the channel. But more importantly, it gives you the chance to make the best music that you're capable of. That is my goal with this channel. So yeah, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thank you. All right, back to the video. Pew. Okay, so I actually ended up taking a few days. I worked on the song when I could. I worked on writing it, and I actually lived with the song for a while. What I would do is I'd play it when I was driving, play it when I'm going for a walk, that sort of thing, and give myself a little time to actually let it be the theme song for my life or whatever. So I actually love this song now that I've had a chance to live with it for a little bit. So much so that I made a little music video for you guys so that when you're listening to it, you can focus on the feeling of the music instead of all the technicals. And then as soon as the video's done, it's just a verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. I'll show you guys all the technicals and break everything down. So there's no questions. You know how I did everything. But I want you guys just to realize how it feels listening to the song. Experience it as a song and not just an Ableton project. And then we'll dive into everything. Also, before I do that, originally we were in the key of G. And I transposed the song into the key of C because it was better for my voice. So we went from this to this. And I also slowed the tempo from 105 to 100 because it felt like I was singing the chorus too fast when it was at 105, so I slowed it down. So without further ado, here is my song that I'm super proud of. I hope you guys like it. It's tentatively titled The Way It Is.
Run your fingers down my back. I'll do anything you ask once I get attached. Say it nice and attract. You can sure put on an act, and I should've known that. You could've tried to be honest and unkind. Say the well is run dry this time. Tell me there's nothing left but a couple little lies. Like I wish that you were mine tonight. Yeah, it must be in your wisdom and the way you move your mouth. 'Cause I can't help but listen when I wanna tune you out. You question my commitments up until you turn me down. I wish that it was different, but that's just the way it is now. 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 That's just the way it is now.
Okay, I hope that song does for your brain what it does for my brain. It just makes my brain light up, especially when that chorus comes in, when it's like,
Yeah, it must be in your wisdom and the way you move your mouth.
it feels huge to me. So let's break down everything, starting with the production changes that I made, and then we'll get to the vocals. So let me just go ahead and mute the vocals. All right, we got all the vocals muted. So I split the drums up onto their own tracks. I just like doing this for mixing purposes, so I can do the kick on its own, the snare on its own. And that way I can put an EQ like this at the end of it. I can automate the volume of the snare. I just love doing drums like that. So we have just a very, very simple beat for the verse. It's just kick and snare. And then the pre-chorus, the floor tom comes in. And then the chorus, we just have all the drums come together for just a rock beat, honestly, with a little fill. The reason I love these drums is because you can do something like this snare roll. And because I recorded so many different samples for the snare, it actually sounds like a real person doing a snare roll. Yeah, that's why I love dad drums. Shout out to the drums that I made. You can get them. Link in the description. Okay, so why does the chorus feel absolutely huge? Why does the pre feel like it's building? Let's start there. The bass comes in. That's the difference. We have the bass. We have the floor tom. So I'm just adding more elements over time. First, it's just those chuggy guitars like the Lola Young song, right? And then I have the bass come in, do, 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 like this. Then I have that little melodic guitar come in too. So why does the chorus feel huge? Well, here's another pro tip for you guys. If you think of each element in your song, like the acoustic guitar, if those things are just doing the same thing the whole time, the song will sound the same the whole time. But if those elements change over time, they play different patterns or different styles of playing, the song will develop over time. So we have the same acoustic guitars, just these guys chugging along. And then when the chorus comes in, there's a big strum instead. Right? It's changing over time. Same exact thing with this electric guitar. It's chugging and then it's like a little bit out of tune. And even the elements like this melodic guitar noise, I just pitched it up an octave to give that chorus a facelift. And to do that in Ableton, you can just double click on a clip on this colored bar right here. And then down here where it says pitch, you can click this little wheel and use the arrow keys. And in Ableton 12, it's very similar. It just looks slightly different, but you can still find the transpose function. And you can literally change the key to whatever you want. Super convenient. You can also play with these different warp modes right here, but I just like the way complex sounded. So we have that, and then we have this bass that we added, which is just super simple. And then what I did was I switched out that little melodic sound that we had for this bell sound. And like, how tacky does this sound? It sounds tacky. Like, there's no way around it. It just sounds kind of silly. This guy. But I turned this space up a lot and this time and basically made it sound kind of ethereal, just because I felt like the chorus needed a little bit of, like, I don't know. What's this? Seasoning. A little bit of salt to sort of brighten things up. Right? But without it, it kind of feels like something's missing. It's very, very subtle, but with this, right? And then the second half of the chorus, for the kind of the post-chorus, it goes up even higher and starts playing more notes to fill out more. So things are developing over time. This is when the chorus gets like especially huge halfway through. And the way that I did that was I used two things. I used an organ playing the chords. You can copy these settings if you want. This is like an Ableton stock organ. And then I used some background vocals, which I'll get to in a second, these guys. But I also had the drums start playing a ride cymbal instead of a hi-hat. So the drum pattern goes like this, just at the end here. Hi-hat groove, pause, then the fill. Once again, these are just my stock dad drum sounds. I split everything up onto its own track. I did a little bit of EQing, but literally this is all just Ableton stuff. So if you get dad drums, you can get this exact drum sound, which sounds awesome. Okay, so let's get into these background vocals. What I like doing is when I record vocals, I will solo the vocals when I'm done recording them and see if they sound good on their own. So let me just play the vocals soloed for the chorus really quick.
Yeah, it must be in your wisdom and the way you move your mouth, 'cause I can't help but listen when I wanna tune you out.
Sounds epic, right?
Question my commitments up until you turn me down. I wish that it was different, but that's just the way it is now. That's just the way it is now.
Okay, so how did I get this epic vocal sound? First things first, on the lead vocal, you might look at this and be like, ah, you know, there's so much processing. There's all these vocal effects. But I have a video of how to replicate this exact chain with all Ableton stock plugins. So don't worry about that. You can go ahead and check that out right up here. If you want to see how I process vocals, I go through my third-party setup and also an Ableton setup if you don't have all these plugins. No excuses. I also used Decapitator on this to distort it a bit.
Yeah, it must be in your wisdom.
But literally, you could just go into Ableton. You could use Saturator and drag something like Crew Cut onto it. Maybe do soft clip with an analog clip here. Turn down the drive a bit.
Yeah, it must be in your wisdom and the way you move your mouth.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, it must be in your wisdom and the way you move your mouth.
So anyway, that's an Ableton alternative for that distorted sound, which I thought sounded cool. And then I'm also sending that to Echo Boy, which is literally just doing a super, super simple delay. You could literally just drag an Ableton delay on and just do quarter notes like this and play with the feedback and the filter like this. So you don't need all these fancy plugins to get this sound is what I'm trying to say. There's also Valhalla Vintage Verb, which you could just so easily just drag reverb onto it like this and turn up the decay and get a very similar sound. These right here are sends and returns. So what these are doing is they're sending the vocal signal down here to these tracks right here. And on these tracks, there's effects on them. So basically we have the dry vocal signal, and then we also have the signal of this effect as well. So we can hear both things together. Instead of like if we had the vocal and we put a reverb onto the actual vocal channel like this, as we turn the dry wet up like this and we get more wet signal, it's actually turning the vocal down. Like listen. Until eventually all we have is just the reverb. This is like the dry. And then it's like pushing the vocal further and further back. But if we add the reverb on top of it, we get the fully present vocal and then the effects with it. Okay, so we got it. That's the lead vocal. What makes the lead vocal sound massive? Well, it's the effects, the delay and the reverb, and also that distortion. And then it's this layer as well. So I sang the same notes in falsetto. I panned it left, I panned it right. I did 2 takes, and then I just processed it how I always process my vocals, which is in that other video. And I added that distortion as well. So that's just kind of like a layer that goes with it, makes it feel bigger. So we got the lead vocal in the middle. We got those doubles on the right and the left. We're building our vocal stack. And then we have the harmonies right here, which I took the distortion off. Cause I can't help but listen when I wanna tune you out. Harmonies honestly take a while to explain, so I just explained those in my course, but I'm not gonna explain them in this video, but they do make vocals sound a lot better. You move your mouth, yeah. I can't help but listen when I wanna tune you out. And last but not least, we have these incredible pad-like vocals. It's kind of like a choir. And in the pre-chorus, I the notes. Or I ood, sorry. Yeah. But you hear the oohs in the background without them, it's kind of like empty. But with them, it's kind of like a little bit of, for lack of a better term, ooh. And then when the chorus comes in, it just feels massive because all those elements are changing. But then honestly, one of the biggest things is this vocal coming in. So like when I'm like, it must be in your wisdom. Ah, yeah, it must be in your wisdom. And the way you move your mouth, 'cause I can't help but listen when I wanna tune you out. That is like literally the chorus. Without it, must be in your wisdom. And the way you move your mouth. Honestly, still pretty good, but it's just night and day difference with this opening up. Must be in your wisdom. And the way you move your mouth. And then halfway through. That organ comes in. This guy. So this is like kind of the secret sauce with really having a chorus open up, layering these vocals with this organ. Listen to this. It's like huge all of a sudden. And what I did to get these vocals, because you might struggle, you might be like, how in the world did you figure out those chords? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll literally just sing the exact notes that something like this is playing. So I'll like go through, I'll delete all the top notes, and I'll just sing these notes. Ah, one at a time. Ah, ah. And I'll go through, I'll sing those, I'll sing it twice, pan them left and right, and I'll just sing these chords. But for this song, I literally just sang notes and layered them together and made sure I didn't sing the same notes in different layers. But basically what I did was I soloed the vocal and I just sang notes over it. And you could do these guitars too. And you saw me record these guitars. There's nothing fancy with them. I just pointed my mic at the 12th fret and just went for it. And you can even tell like the pattern here changes between the first part of the chorus and the second part. It's like choke, stop, break. And then it's just constant strumming when it really opens up. So one last trick before I let you guys go. As you can see, everything is changing over time. That's part of the reason the chorus sounds so big and why it evolves really well. But on the master channel, this is like secret production sauce. Talked about this in other videos. I do this in my songs all the time. This utility right here is turning the whole song down 1.5 dB. Now you got to play with the range with this, -1 dB, -1.5, -2. You can play with it and see how it sounds, but I'm basically automating this guy, this utility, to turn off when the chorus starts, which makes the song sound 1.5 dB louder because everything's turned down while it's on. So it's like the first part of the song, and then when that plugin turns off, the whole song gets 1.5 dB louder, and it makes the chorus feel massive. So you can even look at the plugin here, see how it's turned on. It's turned on, and then it turns off right here. So that's one of the things that just makes the chorus open up, explode, feel massive. Okay, and to turn on automation view, you could just click this slanted line up here to the right, click on the parameter that you want to change, which is turning it on and off, and there'll be a line that pops up here, and you can turn it on and off over time, or you could even just automate the gain level right here and just click on gain, change the gain over time, just like that. Okay, so if you're not catching on to it yet, a lot of times it is a lot of little things and not just one big thing that makes your song sound huge. Obviously, I've been writing songs for a while, and I got to sit with this song for a bit and make sure that I liked the lyrics and the melodies. It went through a few different iterations. The reason I don't film that is because that part just takes so long, and most of it is me just kind of sitting here trying to figure out lyrics in my head, and it doesn't make for good content. So, but I do write songs from beginning to end thoroughly and show you how to do that in that songwriting video I talked about earlier. And I go through all this stuff in extensive detail in my courses. I know there's some of you guys who will just watch these videos and you'll be learning a lot, or you just want to break from your life. You want to tune out, watch some videos on music production. I totally get it. I do the same thing, especially with like housing remodel videos and stuff like that. We all have our guilty YouTube pleasures, right? And for those of you guys who want to learn how to make incredible music, I have a course for you. It's called Complete Producer Pro, and I cover everything you need to know to make great sounding music like this. I cover it in way more detail than in this video, and we go through everything step by step so you can build a song with me, and you're not just watching me make the song, but we're actually making a song together. And it also has a private community, I offer feedback on your music, all that kind of stuff. There's everything in the program that you need in order to make incredible sounding music and release it out into the world, grow as an artist, all that stuff. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, you could just go ahead and click the link in the description, and that will take you to my premium training. You can check out part of the course for free and see if it's something that you're into. And maybe you don't want more instructions, you've been making music for a while, you just want good drum sounds in Ableton. Go ahead and pick up Dad Drums. I worked my butt off on them. I use them in my songs, and I think they sound incredible. And they are super duper affordable. I wanted them to be really accessible for you guys. Once again, those are for Ableton 12, Ableton 11, as well as available in Logic, except without all these Ableton effects. So it's just the samples. Okay, guys. We are helping ordinary people make extraordinary music. That's my goal with the channel. So thank you so much for spending some time with me. I have a lot of videos. Feel free to check out some of the other ones. I'm sure YouTube will recommend some. Feel free to comment any questions or feedback down below. And remember, more than anything, to stop making excuses and start making music. Cheers. 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 I always do that. Cheers. I'm getting weirder and weirder as time goes on. And you know what? I'm fine with it. I got nothing to lose, baby.